Good morning, g'day, comrade subscribers. Dzień dobry, Huomenta. Hope everyone's well. I thought before we had a look at internal improvements we can make, I thought we'd just finish off with the case and the outside. And there's little Hanush the huntsman, still hanging around. As long as he's in the garage, he's fine. Just don't come into the house. Yeah, so I thought we'd have a talk about a few things that we can do on the outside. Right. So, well, one of the things obviously I've got set up here is changing the labels. Why might you want to do that? If you want to retro bright the case because it's quite discoloured, then you need to obviously remove the labels, and sometimes they don't come off nicely, so you might want to put on just a brand new label. So in this case here, we've got kind of a homemade label, so it's I'll probably keep it because it's the original owner made it, did it. But here's an example of an original label that probably, if you look at the power, it's all the way over, a gold power, so this is probably the equivalent label that came on that. So if I wanted to take that off, I could try and reuse this original label. This one's come off okay. Or I could use a modern reproduction. So there's a seller in Poland on Etsy that I've got a whole. They do all different computers. They'll even do custom labels for you. So they actually did a custom VIC-2001, which is the Japanese VIC-20. They actually did a custom VIC-2001 label for me, which didn't cost too much. So anyway, so we could put that on there. Well, actually, here is. I've got them to do two. So that's another one. So you get the power and the VIC label. So here's a. I think they do like VIC-20 as well if you've got a German one. So here's the multicolor replacement. So I could put that on there. But obviously, you want to keep the same sort of label that came off it. To keep it all good. So this is the VIC-1001 label that they did for me, custom for my Japanese VIC. So yeah, so I'll put that link in the description as I usually do. So that's one thing you can do there. Another thing, if the case is really, really bad, like sometimes if it's just so yellow that it just looks horrible. Some people like that because it's it's patina. But one thing you can do if the case is really, really bad is that's not connected to anything. All right. So here's a couple of cases that I've repainted. So this might be controversial. So I've gone for a blue and white motif on this one. Whether you like it or not, I don't know. I think it's come up quite nicely, blue and white. Obviously, the keyboard is a Commodore keyboard, C64C, is it? The one that came with a white keyboard. So I've gotten one of those, paired it with the blue, so I've got blue and white. So maybe I don't know. Like back in the day, this is something that I would have done to my computer, to kind of customize it. That's what people did. I've also got a black and white. Just gone straight black and white. Again with the white Commodore 64 keyboard. I like it. Actually, I'm running out of hands here. Let me just stop. And here I've gone with a black and gold kind of motif using an original Petsky keyboard. So I like it. All right, that's my personal opinion. I like it. I don't know what's rolling around in there. So I don't know. Some people find that sacrilegious. You know, the thing is, the case was horrible. It was a horrible case. I think that might have been a barn find case, actually, that one. So yeah. Anyway, so that's the exterior. Other things you can do, you can actually buy replacement feet as well, rubber feet. I do actually have some. I think I got them from Element 14 Farnell. So if you're missing a rubber foot, you can actually get pretty much the same rubber feet to put on. So you know, if the feet are probably a bit too old, then just replace all of them, put brand new feet on. Actually, let me have a look what feet I've got. Okay, so I think these are the ones I kind of use for general stuff. But yeah, these are pretty much a 1-for-1 replacement for the VIC-20's original feet. I guess maybe Commodore as well, because they use pretty much the same case, don't they? So yeah, 1-for-1 replacement. So that was a pretty good find, I thought. Don't know whether I've got BBC Model B feet as well. So they're still made. Yes, I've got a whole bunch here. Anyway, yeah, so I think Element 14, I think I probably got them. So I remember, I think it was the BBC feet, they come in a pack of 100 or a pack of 50 or something. So I ordered one, and they sent me a single rubber foot instead of one pack of 50. Overnight courier as well, which is, yeah, they don't do that anymore. I think they finally realised how much it was costing them. All right, so that's the exterior pretty much done. So let's look at the interior. So I've gone over pretty much the basics in part 2. So I've already replaced the linear regulator with one from EZ SBC or EZ SBC, PSU5 no noise. So that's already dropped, I think, 140 milliamps off the power input. So I think when I first powered it on as is, it was 1.17 amps. It's now 1.03 amps. So there is other things we can do to reduce power. For example, you know, if we're only putting in, so I'm only using DC, 9 volts DC at the moment. So the polarity doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But what I could do in addition, and I might do this just to show how else you can save power, is put a 2.1mm DC socket on here and have it connect directly into the regulator, so you bypass the rectifier. That saves this thing gets hot. Even if it's DC, it gets bloody hot. I have tried replacing it. I do have modern versions, but you know, it's still 4 diodes. It's still gonna, you know, you're still getting the waste heat. There's nothing kind of you can really do. So of course the important thing is, you know, you've got your 9-volt cable that goes from here across to here, so you've got 9 volts on your expansion, and also obviously your data set needs 9 volts. So it's always a good idea to put 9 volts in. I think I did mention before what you could do if you wanted to, you know, save heat on both, is just put 5 volts in directly. But if you've put in a modern regulator, then it doesn't really matter. You're not really saving that much, so you might as well just stick 9 volts in. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll stick a 2.1mm socket on here. Now you have to be careful positioning it because you have the case. So the case here, if you put it too high on the L plate here, then you're gonna hit into the case, and you're gonna have to do a little file on there. So because it does kind of overlap a bit. Anyway, so I'll be doing that. Where else can we save power? Well, the 65 22s, replace them with CMOS versions. I think I did buy a whole bunch brand new from Mouser. I think I've still got some still. If not, I'll just get them from another VIC, and we can see what the difference is there. Again, also you can replace the firmware with Jiffy DOS or a switchable one. So I think these are 25s or 23. I think they're 25 series, aren't they? So you can't put a 27 series EPROM in directly. You've got to have a converter board like this. basic. There is, well, basic is basic. I have seen that a clever fellow has actually combined these two together into a single 27 series EPROM. So if you did that, obviously that saves power here, because these things do get hot. 6502, replace it with a CMOS version. Not 100% compatible, I'm told. It's got some extra command. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not something I've ever done myself. But I guess in general it should be okay. You've got your character ROM here. You can replace that as well, but you need a different converter board than you do for these EPROMs. And well, the VIC chip, you look after that one. So I've taken the RF shield off, as well as the lid, like that. So that's how it came. I just leave it off. You know, better airflow. So basically what you can do is just stick a good heatsink on it, really. What else? You've got these. I've mentioned these ones as well here. Your buffers, 74 LS245s, I think. These can get quite hot, so you can replace them with HCT variants, I think, 74 HCT 245s. So I've done a whole video on all of this, so yep. So I think what I'll do first is I've got a Penultimate 2 cartridge that I've never used, so finally I'll stick it in. I'll run diagnostics for about an hour, and then we'll check the temperature, see what sort of heat we've got here. I better put this fellow's going to get hot, the rectifier, so I better put the that back on like that. So obviously you need some thermal compound there. Obviously after cleaning it with some alcohol. I don't think I wanted to. I might replace this capacitor, this electrolytic, although I don't need to do it right now. Nothing else. I've already replaced that, so yep, I can stick that back on. So I'll do that, run it for about an hour, and then we'll check temps. One small ad. Well, it's not an ad because I don't get paid for this. I bought these in bulk off AliExpress. You can buy them at JCar, $6 a tube, or you can buy them on AliExpress for $1. Problem with the AliExpress ones, I know the JCar ones, you can put the lid back on and it's all okay, but these AliExpress ones, even though they look identical, once you start using them, they go hard. So even if you put the lid on, so you know, sometimes you have to kind of like use my poker, not this one, but my poker, just to jab in, get rid of all the hard stuff, so you can actually get some more of the liquid. Anyway, so this is just the heatsink. The thermal compound that I use, it is adhesive, so it will stick on. This is a bit hard to put on because you've got to stick it on, and then you've got to put the screw through the middle and screws into that, and they put a little Loctite onto it, but I don't really need that. So yeah, this is the $1 a tube or something, I think. So I buy it in bulk because once you start using it, it pretty much gets unusable. So what I'll do is, because I can't move my camera, I've got to move that. Pierce it. Okay. And put some on. I'll probably get in trouble for putting too much on because you don't really need that much. Like so. I don't remember where my screw is, which is that long one there. I've got my screw. Probably not very good. Actually, I need to unplug it, don't I? Silly. Unplug. And basically smear that on, and then try and get the screw up it. So I'm not going to film that because it's not going to be very good. Not too bad. I think I've figured out the technique now. So I've got the screw through. Depending on the type of rectifier, there might be a washer on the other side. I've got the screw through, and then just make sure you position it how you want it, because once the thermal compound sets, it is stuck in place. So there we go. And actually running it will, I think, make it cure faster. So I'll stick in penultimate 2, choose the diags, so it's something running all the time, and be back in an hour. Okay, so that's power it's using at the moment, doing nothing. And we've got, so that's what it looks like at the moment. So I've not done any changes to the video output. This is just composite out. And of course I need to connect up the keyboard, don't I, so I can select it. So, yep, run the diags for an hour, and there we go. G'day again, comrade subscribers. So it's actually Friday, that's the next day. So I've been running the dead test for about 7 hours now. So started at 10 AM. It's now about 5 PM. And you can see we've got some failure on the colour RAM. And you can see actually along the top there, actually I should, you can see where it's supposed to say Tynemouth software. You can see actually we've missing some characters because of the colour RAM. Mind you, it's been running for about 7 hours continuously. So if you run it for an hour or so, it's okay. So it's an interesting stress test. But the reason for doing that is, well, try and check out what temperatures we've got. So the Watson's Electricity House thermometer says that the ambient temperature is about 24 degrees. It's about 24 degrees here in the garage. So a cloudy day today, overcast. So we'll set up and we'll check the temperature on our board and see what we can do. I have put a good heatsink on the VIC chip, the 6560. I think it reaches about 50. So I have done all of this exercise a year or two ago. Did a series on how to reduce temperature and reduce power. Anyway, so I've got the VIC chip on there, and it is actually feeling pretty cool. This heatsink on the rectifier works quite well, or I should say maybe heat spreader. It's warm, but it's not hot to the touch like the rectifier itself was, so that works quite well. Got the we've got the kernel, we've got the basic ROMs, both very hot. 6502 is pretty hot. Character ROM's pretty hot. The 6522 VIs, they're okay. They're not doing much, but you know they are warmer than ambient. Obviously the 6560 is warm, but it's not hot because we're spreading the heat a bit. And then we've got these buffers here, the 74245s. So I've noticed they get generally pretty hot. So, but let's be objective. Let's be objective about this. So let's check the VIC itself. We can actually zoom in. Let's zoom in and do it. So it's about 39 degrees, so it's quite reasonable. Like I say, normally you can get up to about 50 degrees. What else we got? The character ROM. Have a look at that. That's quite warm. So it's hitting about 46 degrees. Try and reduce the reflections. There, like that. 6502. Let's check that one. Okay, 44 degrees. Let's check the basic ROM. About 47 degrees. The kernel. Looks a degree or two warmer. It's about 48 degrees. And the vias, well, let's have a look at the rectifier. So it's not too bad, it's about 35 degrees. And we'll just finish off with the, well, we won't finish off, have a look at the two vias. One on the right, it's about 39, and the one on the left is about the same, 38. Let's actually have a look at these 74 245s. So we're looking at about 40 degrees, 41, 42. So we're looking at about 42 degrees. So these are actually warmer than the vias. Let's have a quick look over the RAM actually while we're here. We're going about 38, 39, 40, 42. What do we hit there? About 42 degrees maximum. So yeah, so the RAM is a little bit warm as well after 7 hours. Okay, so what shall we do? Well, I think we can stop running the test and give it a break. I don't have any CMOS 6502s, so I've ordered some. You can get them brand new from Mouser, so don't buy them new old stock from China or something like that. Buy brand new ones. Same with the 6522s. I probably do have some in other VICs, but I've ordered some new ones, so I'll put them in as well from Mouser. So they should hopefully be here next week. So what we can do today is we will replace the character ROM because that gets quite warm. I think this, yeah, Sven's character ROM adapter here. So might put a couple of different character ROMs. I want to try the Commodore 64 one on here. So I think it goes like that. So we'll replace that one there. Let me just power it off. So a new ROM there, 27 series ROM. Same with the kernel. Let me zoom out. Same with the kernel. We'll put the Jiffy DOS licensed copy of Jiffy DOS there. We could probably do the same with the basic, and then we can monitor. We'll see what the temperatures are then, and also actually what current. Well, let me just check the current usage. 1.07. All right, we'll put that as the baseline. 1.07 amps currently. Okay, so I think we'll try the basic ROM, the character ROM first. I've got Sven's little handbook. So this is pretty much the basics done for the character ROM. What you've got to be, so we've got some surface mount 10K pull-up resistors there for the address lines. So what you've got to be cognizant of is when you are installing, especially on original VICs, you've got to be careful of, because we've got such a wide board, when you're putting, we've got this here that can get in the way, especially for the kernel ROM. So I'm just going to size it now. If I put this back on, just quickly. All right, so that looks to be okay. So what am I talking about? So when it comes to installing the 2700, it's like whether you just burn the EPROM and stick it straight on because you're not going to, you don't want to change it, or whether I put a socket on and then the EPROM on top, which obviously is going to add quite a bit of space. So that should be okay if I want to use a socket. I'm just thinking, what might I burn to this? So I want to do the C64 and the original VIC-20 Depends on the size of what EPROMs I've got. I might also do the Swedish/Finnish font and the Japanese VIC-1001 font maybe. So that'll be 4 fonts, so the fonts are 4K each. So if I use a 27C 128 16K, I can fit 4 character sets. So I've got some 27 128s. If I just wanted to do the 2 character sets, VIC-20 and Commodore 64, then I just need a 27C 64. All right, I'll do that. So I'll get the 4 fonts, download the 4 fonts, basically concatenate them all into one binary file, burn it, and adjust the headers. So you could make it switchable, but you know, if you want to change the fonts on the go, so basically run a wire to maybe a selector switch. But I'm not too fussed about that. I'll just use straps just to hard code it. So let me go get that ROM ready, and will I stick it in? Yeah, let's see. Decided to use a socket and just use a 8 kilobyte ROM, so just 2 fonts. So that means I only need to do A12 address, so either on or off to select which bank. So that should go in here, like so. And that should reduce our current consumption a little bit, but also mean this doesn't get anywhere near as hot. Let's try that on. Make sure it still fits properly. Yeah, alright, looks okay. Alright, so I might actually try and set up the video capture rather than just filming the screen. Let me go get my computer. Sorry guys, but my Elgato just does not want to capture the image. So anyway, so I've got the replacement ROM in, character ROM in, and that looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? So that's the normal VIC-20 font. So if I just put the little header onto the A12 pin, like so. Let's watch the screen. There we go. Now I've got the Commodore 64 font. Take it off. We go back to the original VIC-20 font. So I just thought it would be interesting to see the thicker Commodore 64 font. Let's see, what can we do? Let me load up, let me whack in the penultimate, and we'll try some software. Let's we'll have a quick look at the power. So 1.02, so about 40 milliamps we're saving. Maybe not really noticeable, but certainly the chip will not get anywhere near as warm as it was. So let's maybe have a look at maybe an adventure game. Adventureland, Pirates Cove, yeah, one of those ones. Maybe Pirates Cove. There we go. Want to store? No. What do you reckon? So that's the Commodore 64 font. Too thick? Alright, let's take the... And that's back to the original VIC-20 font. Maybe that is, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, so the Sven's character ROM replacement certainly does work, so that'll save us a bit of heat. So actually we're almost, if we have a look, almost at an amp. So I think we were about 1.17 amps. So next up is to replace the kernel with kernel plus Jiffy DOS. So like I said, if you really wanted to, you could run some wires and a switch and make it switchable from outside. So yeah, all right, kernel ROM next. So it's a 2364 to 27. So this is an adapter I've been using for ages, as you can probably tell. So in this case, we want the VIC-20 basically only has two ROM images. You've got the original and Jiffy DOS. You could NTSC or PAL. I think there is a bug fix Swedish version, something. Anyway, so we're interested in just the two images. So again, it's a 27128. Oh no, I used a 2764, didn't I? So 27128 in this case, so which is 16K. So we've got two images. So in this case, we've just got one 10K pull-up resistor, and then the other two we're just going to bridge, and it's just A13 that we're going to. So we've got, these are the pads here where we need to bridge or put the 10K pull-up resistor, and then here we can put some header pins and then run it out to a switch so that we can switch between the ROMs outside the case. So I do have some I've already built. Where was my, here it is. So this is my, but as you can see here, I've been a bit, again, so this one here, you definitely have to look out for the edge of the keyboard, the plastic keyboard. So for example, this one, you can see here the way I've got it bent up like that. It's because of the heatsink here. So when that goes in like that, you can see here it's very, very close. So maybe even I have to move this a little bit. So what I'll probably do in this case, because there's only two images, I'm not going to use the socket. I'm just going to put the ROM directly onto, once I've programmed it obviously, onto here, so that it is a bit smaller and I won't have to worry about the plastic edge. And then probably, yeah, I'll just, actually I think what I did here originally is I originally had these out horizontal, forgetting about this heatsink, so I'll just install these vertically. I only need the two on the end, but yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's build one up. So the basics are done. So what I normally would do actually is so this row of pins will be hidden by the ROM. So I'd solder that in first, then solder the ROM on, so I can get to those pins, and then solder this side on. But I figured, doesn't matter. So here's one I've programmed earlier apparently. So I'm just not going to use a socket because in my VIC, it's way too close to the this bottom plastic here. So it's not a problem, but it means I'd have to cut the plastic out. And as you can see, so once I put that in there, it's pretty close to the heat sink for the rectifier. So that's why you just got to be a bit careful. But anyway, that fits. So I'll solder in the ROM, and then I'll make up a switch so we can switch between the two. Okay, here we go, all ready to go. Pretty low profile, so it'll fit in no problems. And here's our little switch that will wire up, so I can switch between the normal kernel and Jiffy DOS. Where to position the switch? So I normally put it on the side of the case. So have it up here, perhaps circular one. So you just drill a hole. You don't have to worry about trying to make a rectangle. So probably stick it on there, or you can maybe even stick it on the back there. I like to try and keep it switches over here. So that's where I'll put it. And I just need a 4-way. Grab that. Just a little 4-way. I bought these in bulk, a whole bunch of them from AliExpress. 4-way, 5-way, 6-way, 7-way. So it's already made up for me. So I just need to whack on there like that. And I think it's address A13. What are we doing for a... I don't think there's an A14 we need to do. 128. No, there's no A14. A12. It's been a while since I've done this. I just need to remember how I did this. So we've got ground. Let's switch it around actually. So we've got ground on one end. So that'll go to the middle. We'll go to the middle switch, middle tab, and then A13, A14. Let me see how I've done it before. Maybe A13, A14. Just trying to remember. Yeah, I was getting a bit confused because there's only one address line we need to switch. So what I do is I use a 4-way header, but I just take these two out. So really we just need the middle and one pole of this. So we either ground it or it's pulled high by the pull-up resistor, obviously. So what I do is just try to push these down and out. Like so. They're not in the way. Can't really see what I'm doing, so I'm wearing my glasses. Just need to push that little thing there. Anyway, you can see what I'm doing. Just pulling out the... Yeah, I'll sort that out and then we'll get the switch made up. There, we are done. So that'll connect to here. So we've got ground on one side and address pin A13 on the other, like so. And that way we can either ground or let it be pulled high. So A13 will be low or high, and that's why we select the two different kernels. So let's try it out now. Let me get this all set up. And I'll reposition the camera. So that'll go in like that. Place the kernel like so. As you can see. And I don't think I'll install it in the case just yet. I'll wait, this video is long enough. So I'll just test it out and then we'll continue in part 4. But let's test this out first. So as you can see, we've got the Commodore 64 font. So we'll go back to the normal font. Let's just do Commodore 64 something different. So that, as you can see, is the normal kernel. So power off, and then we change the switch, power back on, and we've now got Jiffy DOS. So, and we are just under an amp, 950 milliamps. Where is it? There. So we're under an amp now, under 9 watts. Thanks to swapping out the character ROM and the kernel ROMs for CMOS EPROMs. So still, I've never changed out the basic ROM, so that's something we could try, I guess, to reduce it even further. I've never tried that, and when I hopefully get my new 6502 and 6522s next week, we'll try putting them in and see how much further we can get the power down. So 8.47 watts, 940 milliamps. Okay, hopefully that was of some interest, and yeah, I'll install the switch before next time. One other thing I can do, as I said earlier, is put a 2.1mm socket, DC power socket here, so that we can run 9 volts straight into the regulator and bypass the rectifier, because I'm putting in 9 volts DC as it is, so there's no point going via the rectifier. Well, one thing is that you don't have to worry about the polarity of your DC. It can be center negative, center positive, doesn't matter. Rectifier will sort it out. But if we want to save a little bit more power, then what I normally do is I connect it to the output of the rectifier. That way we've still got 9 volts going to the data set. Anyway, I think that's about it. This is long enough. Hopefully there was something there of interest for you guys. And I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.